Hey there, Michael Lamb here, bringing you some more Jackson Film Club video podcast content. So, today I'm just going to be going through and talking about what I did in 2022. These are all the movies that I logged on Letterboxd. So, no real plan other than to just scroll down this page and talk about what I see. So if you don't know what Letterboxd is like Goodreads for movies. You can create a diary entry for every movie that you log, that you watch. And you can leave a review, you can leave a like, you can also tag your entries. So every time that I watch something, I tag what service I use to watch it. And sometimes I'll go back and check and see that those services no longer offer that movie anymore. And then I drop those services, eventually going back to them because there's only like 5. Anyway, 2022 was a pretty good year as far as I watched a lot of movies and had a good time with a good bit of them. So you can see here I logged 445 diary entries. This is every time that I logged a movie. So some of these were rewatches, which we'll break down in a little bit. And then of those, I reviewed 301. So there's a lot more reviews than last year. I made 16 lists in 2022. It's kind of hard to keep up with sometimes these days because I follow a lot of people, but I try to like all of my friends' reviews whenever they log movies and they leave their thoughts. So I liked over 1,900 of 1,900 reviews, and I left 96 comments. And this is the total number of hours that I spent watching movies. So I do want to put out another episode breaking down probably just the top 20 of my 2022 releases ranked, but I still have a few more that I want to get on this list before I make that. So if you want to check it out, this is available on Letterboxd right now. You can see what the current standing is right here. So here's a breakdown of the films by week. You can see this is the number of diary entries. So that turned out to be about 37 movies per month, averaging nearly 9 movies every week. So the big movie watching days for me were Tuesday. I watched 72 films on Tuesdays, 74 films on Sundays. Yeah. The breakdown by week. So it started off pretty steady, and then got kind of busy in the spring. But movie watching for me is a habit, so stayed quite steady in the 8s and 9s down here. I don't remember what happened in August right there. Maybe I had a vacation or something, or took some time off. And then had a big spike right here when I watched a lot of movies because I had my wisdom teeth taken out. And I don't know if you know this, but the painkillers that they give you for oral surgery kind of knock you out. And so I had a lot of time to watch movies. It was fun. All right. Milestones for the year. So the first film that I watched was West Side Story. I watched that in theaters. It was good. Steven Spielberg. I loved it. The group that I went with kind of left me out. So I sat by myself, and I think I enjoyed it a little bit more because of that. And then these are all the movies that I watched the most in 2022. So in 2022, I shared the movie Pig a lot. I caught that one in 2021 and really loved it. I rewatched it a couple times that year, but it was one that I talked to a lot of my friends about. And so pretty much anybody who said, I will watch that with you, we sat down and we watched that one. It's one of my favorites. God bless you, Nick Cage. I'm kind of messed up, and so I rewatch Midsummer a lot. It's a comfort movie for me somehow. Hackers is also a comfort movie that I discovered in 2022. I did not expect to like it, but it was free on YouTube, and it had Angelina Jolie, and ended up just having a blast watching that. It's a lot of fun. I rewatched Mask 4 times and Batman 4 times. My last film was Netflix's The House, which is a stop motion animation, which was fine. So I've tagged a couple of my lists with this year in review tag. So one was the Robert Pattinson completionist ranking. This was a list that I made a little bit of progress on last year. I've since added some more entries, and so I need to go and update that and see if I can make any more progress this year. I started off 2022 with the goal of trying to expand the number of directors that I've watched. And so I wanted to watch films from directors I'd never seen before. And I set that goal at 100. And so you can check out this list on Letterboxd to see everything that I watched. It was a lot of fun finishing that list. And so breaking down the genres. I love dramas and thrillers. It's weird that sci-fi doesn't have as much of a presence here, because I love sci-fi. And then, crime, adventure, fantasy, those are middling for me. Most of my films were from America. Some were from the UK, some were French, Canadian, Sweden. Yeah, I did watch some Swedish films. I caught some Japanese films. I wonder what those were. Spirited Away. That's right. I watched Millennium Actress. Showed that to my little brother, and he had a good time. Belle was something that my sister really wanted to watch, and it was really pretty, but it was just Beauty and the Beast, so I was kind of bored. It's interesting that Nope is considered a Japanese film. I watched Good Morning. That was a Mother's Day watch. I'll tell you, I have excellent taste on picking movies for Mother's Day. I laughed and I cried. It was so good. Drive My Car was a fantastic movie. And I need to rewatch that one. I started it in the morning, not really realizing that it was a 3-hour runtime. It was based on a novel, so that makes sense. But it's so engaging. I watched the first hour, and then I had to stop for work. So I usually watch something for lunch, but it tends to be like a 20-minute serialized something. And instead, that day, I watched the second hour of Drive My Car, and was pretty enraptured with it, but then I had to get back to work. So whenever I finished up with work that day, I went back and finished Drive My Car and just cried. Samurai Champloo. I've watched this a lot in high school whenever it was on Adult Swim, but I never got to finish the whole show. And when I saw that it was on Hulu and that it was going away, it really put a fire under my ass. And so I finally got to finish that. Porco Rosso, what a lovely little movie. I don't think an engineer can be a girl. And then I also caught Rashomon, which I didn't rate. It's so highly rated, and I don't know if I got it. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and his name is Kyle Crockett, and he and I discussed what that movie is, and I think I didn't appreciate it because I didn't really know what was going on. So Letterboxd provides themes and nano genres, and I don't really want to talk about these because it's a lot of words. So let's break down my movies. All right, 2022 releases were only accounted for about 20% of all the movies that I watched. So 1/5 of the movies that I watched in 2022 were released in 2022. But the vast majority of the movies that I watched were first-time watches, whereas about 1/3 of them were rewatches. So that includes movies that were first watched in 2022 and then also rewatched, because I do that a good bit. And about the same percentage breakdown. I reviewed more than I didn't. So a good bit of the movies that I watch, I also will leave some thoughts. So sometimes there's not even real thoughts. It's just, this is who I watched this with, or this is where I watched it, if it's something special like at the Capri or at Dueling Hall. The rating spread here, so I only gave one film 1.5 stars. There's some films that just absolutely sucked ass, and I tend to not find those. I'm pretty selective, but every now and then you just get a real stanker. And so I watched a lot of films that I rated 5 stars. There are going to be some people who think that you can't find 5-star movies, that no movie should ever be given 5 stars because nothing can be perfect. But those are people who don't have fun at parties. I added 620 movies to my watch list, and of those I watched, of all of the movies on my watch list, I caught 145. So, good year for making progress on my watch list. I think my watch list is probably over 1,000 movies at this point. Okay. Stars. We love the stars. I caught Cate Blanchett in a lot of films. How many films? Oh yeah, she was in Don't Look Up, Tar. I saw The Lord of the Rings at a bar, Nightmare Alley. Woof. If you have not seen Nightmare Alley, Bradley Cooper. Oh, his character is devastating. Was she in Write It Out? Interesting. And then Thor Ragnarok. Michael Stuhlbarg was in a lot of movies that I watched. Call Me By Your Name for sure. Bones and All. Yeah, he's in Arrival and Doctor Strange. He's also in Shirley. I forgot about that. Oscar Isaac. We're going to skip over Ralph Ineson. So Oscar Isaac. Oh, Moon Knight was a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys are Marvel fans. This was kind of the least action-y Marvel movie or Marvel series. And I think that's one of the reasons that I liked it, is because it was so character driven, and Oscar Isaac acts his ass off. Let's go back to Ralph Ineson because he does some interesting movies. So I rewatched The Green Knight around Christmas. I was trying to get into the Christmas mood, and then saw The Northman, and I watched The Witch with my sister and a friend, who is Jenny Brantley. And then I didn't realize that he was in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. This was a movie that I caught in a bar. Old Nick Cage. So he's one of the most watched, not because of the number of times that I watched Pig, but just the number of movies. So he was in 5 different movies that I watched in 2022. All right, so that was most watched. Let's look at highest rated. So Paul Dano, this is for sure going to be The Batman. And The Fabelmans, yeah. And There Will Be Blood. I rewatched There Will Be Blood at the beginning of last year. Saw The Batman 4 times, and then really, really loved The Fabelmans. Fabelmans, number 1 for me from 2022 as far as new movies. I don't know that it'll be dethroned, but you never know. So, saw a number of John Bernthal. He was in The Wolf of Wall Street. Who was he? I forgot. Oh, this doesn't tell me the characters. That's a waste of time. And what's strange is that I actually don't know a good number of these. So I don't know that this is a really useful statistic. Alicia Vikander is going to be Ex Machina and The Green Knight for sure. And then Margot Robbie. Let's see what movies she was in. Babylon and The Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Most watched directors. There's a guy, Dylan Clark. He's got a bunch of short films on YouTube. I watched pretty much all of his stuff. There might be a couple things that are on Letterboxd that he took off of YouTube. I don't know how to find those. Ari Aster. At this point, it's probably every year I'm going to go through his entire filmography, and that includes his short films. I'm not exactly sure how to describe my feelings about Ari Aster. It's not really love, and I feel like you have to have a lot of love in order to hate something, and so I can't quite say it's hate, but I'm definitely drawn to the way that he tells stories. Joel Cohen. That's going to be all these good movies. Oh yeah, Tragedy of Macbeth. Jackson Film Club actually hosted a Tragedy of Macbeth viewing. I think that was February of 2022. Or, no, it was January. Yeah, watched with JXN Film Club. And then saw Inside Llewyn Davis. Sorry, I was thinking of No Country for Old Men. Inside Llewyn Davis. That was the first time I watched that and loved it. I need to rewatch that soon with my friend Grace. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. That was a lot of fun. It was good. Burn After Reading was super fun. I loved The Big Lebowski. I caught this one at the Capri. That's the only theater inside the city limits of Jackson. And I have the Criterion of Blood Simple, and it just wasn't for me. It didn't really grip me. I don't think that Joel Cohen had really gotten his storytelling wits about him quite yet. And just so you know, I'm drinking Gotta Get Up to Get Down. This is a beer that Jenny Brantley left for me to drink. It's a coffee stout from Wiseacre. Wiseacre's brewery out of Memphis, Tennessee. So thank you, Wiseacre. And the last one I'll talk about as far as most watched directors is Hayao Miyazaki. I saw Ponyo for the first time and Porco Rosso for the first time. Rewatched Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke in 2022. Those were two movies that introduced me to Hayao Miyazaki. I watched those way back in the day, like pretty much when they came out. I remember seeing this one in like maybe 2000, and this one was definitely 2001, 2002. Really formative for me. So you'll see a lot of the same names here. Ooh, Damien Chazelle is pretty highly rated. I watched Whiplash last year. And Babylon. Saw Babylon twice before 2022 ended. And I've seen it once already, and I actually have plans to see it again after this is recorded. So by the time that you've seen this, I'll probably have already seen it 4 times. Matt Reeves is up here because of Batman. Michael Sarnowski's up here because of Pig. I do not remember who Enrico Casarosa is. Oh, Luca. I love Luca. Luca's one of the most fantastic little Disney movies. So wonderful. All right. I think it's interesting that Letterboxd will break it down. You can see your most watched and highest rated crew and studios. I like that they point that out. But I don't know that that's super interesting for a video podcast, so I'm just going to scroll past that. My most liked review was Don't Worry, Darling, and it was because I made fun of Harry Styles. So Harry Styles isn't an incredible actor like Florence Pugh, but he definitely was in a real, go to the theater film movie. And last year we put out a podcast episode called good actors in bad movies. It was me, Micah, and Sam, and you can find this on my Letterboxd, and you can find this podcast on anchor.fm/JXN Film Club. You'll be able to see all of our podcast content that is not video format there. All right. Highs and lows. The highest average was The Godfather. The lowest average was 2025, The World Enslaved by a Virus. Real trash movie. The most popular was Batman. I think Batman was one of like the highest or most rewatched movies on Letterboxd. And Eva is very obscure. I think this was a short film. Yeah, it was a short film on YouTube from the channel Dust. So Dust does a lot of sci-fi short films. So films watched in 2022. This is all of the posters just laid out. And so I'll just kind of scroll through and point out stuff that I care about. I, at one point, had streamed on Twitch, and I watched Mask twice, live. And I was also on Instagram Live, and it was the first time that I'd ever done that, and it was pretty fun. I changed I can change what the poster is for different movies. If there are other posters available, I'll kind of go through those. Letterboxd, take it forever. But I changed the poster for Call Me By Your Name because I like this one. It's got my boy Timmy on it. I rewatched The Place Beyond the Pines. It's the first time that I'd ever rewatched that. It's a very, very well told story. And here's more Mask. One of these was actually a special viewing at the Muse Center, which is part of Hines Community College. So the directors, Jake Cockrell and Sam Grafe. Jake actually works at the school, and so that was where they did most of the editing. And that was where they hosted friends and family and people who worked on the movie or helped out in some way. So we all got together and got to see what we helped create. It was a lot of fun. I'm not going to go through all 445, but some interesting ones just here on the bottom. I'm a big fan of Top Gun. Love this movie, Top Gun Maverick. Not the first one, but the sequel. So one of those rare cases where the sequel is way better than the original. And I think 30 years of difference between them really helped technologically. And then also Tom Cruise just kind of has his shit together. But Glenn Powell was super hot, so I went with the Hangman poster. Corpus Christi was one of these movies that I caught on Mubi. Mubi they call it themselves a curated streaming service, and so every day they post a new movie, and it's like hand selected. They're all supposed to be great, but you get some bad ones. But Corpus Christi was very, very good from beginning to end. I just really loved the main character and his journey. And I saw Antichrist, which is a Lars von Trier movie. And if you know who Lars von Trier is, or if you've seen this movie, God bless you. I do not recommend it. I did not like it. But I watched it. I watched the whole thing. This is a breakdown of all the movies by the world. So, yeah, I watched 20 Swedish films, some Finland, some Estonia, Georgia. Oh, I do remember watching something from Georgia. And then we danced. This was another one on Mubi, and man, the stuff that I do watch on Mubi that I end up really liking just makes me cry. And that one was one that made me cry. highly rated films that I'm yet to see. So these are some films that I have not yet seen. I know that After Sun is on my watch list. And so is RRR. And I've heard Puss in Boots is pretty good. I need to catch this Bo Burnham Inside Outtakes. I loved Inside. Here's some movies that are highly rated with my friends. And that's pretty much the end of it. So I can scroll back up to the top. Like I said, I want to put out another podcast episode breaking down my 2022 releases ranked. Might be looking for a guest to add to that. But there are some other 2022 films that I either haven't been able to find or have talked about watching with somebody else and have just been waiting for them. And so I want to get those under my belt before I sit down and do an actual ranked episode. But that's pretty much it for today. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. If there are any 2022 movies that you don't see on my releases ranked list that you want me to include, please leave a comment. And love you.